Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. I was mentioning in a previous vlog that I tend to get worried about things that I know I shouldn't get worried about because they're completely out of my control. For example, the whole thing about if your skin cells have been replaced since you were a baby, is you still the same person, etc. Which apparently it's called the Ship of Theseus paradox, but I knew it as the grandfather's axe, where you replace the head of the axe, sometimes you replace the handle, but it's still the same axe, technically. And I know it as that because it was in a Discworld book. That's a reference to my last vlog. So, this time around, it's just about the general nature of existence. And it's just, well, first off, it's astonishing to me in a way that I can't comprehend that I exist. That I'm here thinking when I guess there's an infinite amount of time before and after this where I apparently don't exist. But here I am. In a way, it's sort of inevitable, I guess. Like, it happened because it happened, so the chance must have been 1 out of 1. But in another sense, it feels like the chance was like 1 in an infinity that I'd be here. That me would be here observing this universe. And it's really hard to get that across when I'm talking because it's one of those abstract philosophical things, but I hope you know what I mean. And yeah, I just get worried and anxious and angry, etc. Sometimes thinking about just not existing, about dying or that kind of thing. And the universe going on, but does it really if I'm not there to observe it, I guess. And that's sort of what upsets me, is I guess I value my memory really highly. I'd hate to get Alzheimer's or something. I really hope they cure that before I get old, because for me, my memory is me, I guess. It's what defines me, and what defines the universe to me is that I'm here looking at the universe and I know these things about it. But yeah, look, I hope. Some people say, oh, we've got souls. I hope so. I mean, it's one of those things, I'd love to believe it. It's just difficult to be sure about that kind of thing, because there's really no evidence one way or another, is there? And that's why look, I still have a bit of hope that, sometimes when I get like this, it's because I'm like, oh, it's probably not, that didn't make sense to anybody. I realize that now after I just did that. But what gives me some hope, I guess, is if you've heard of Flatland, it's a book. It was written by a mathematician as an allegory to explain the concept of dimensions beyond the third dimension. You may have heard, I think, Carl Sagan talk about it. And so the story goes basically like this. There's squares living in Flatland. And that's a land, think of it as like on a piece of paper. Everyone in that universe lives on a flat, two-dimensional plane, like a giant piece of paper. Everyone's moving around. To get past each other, they have to go around each other on that horizontal plane. There's no up or down. There's only north, south, east, and west. And one day, our main character, a square, goes to the land of Lineland, where there's one less dimension. He's used to there being north, south, east, and west. But to them, there's only north and south. And he tries to explain it to them, but they're like, no, that doesn't make any sense. There's only north and south. But then, eventually he goes back and he sees a circle, and the circle's got this trick of it can get bigger or smaller, and he asks, what's going on? And he says, oh, I'm not getting bigger or smaller, I'm going up and down. And he's like, what? And so the sphere takes him up, and so that he can see like the whole world below that previously he couldn't comprehend the idea of a third dimension. His mind is blown, and he goes, wow, take us, higher, take us further take us beyond the third dimension to the more dimensions that inevitably are there, and the sphere drops him. He says, "That's stupid. There's only 3 dimensions. There's only north, south, east, west, and up and down." And the point of that story is that it's basically impossible to comprehend further, dimensions and that kind of thing. Things that are beyond our, how we currently think. And that doesn't necessarily mean they don't exist. And that's how it was an allegory for dimensions, but it was also an allegory. He was a Christian, and it was for souls. The idea that maybe there is something more to people. Maybe it's something that's not, it's not, something that we see with our eyes or observe with our 3-dimensional physics laws. But why not more? Why not have more dimensions to us? And the reason that people give is, oh, that's just impossible, it doesn't make any sense. But actually, it does. It's just really, really difficult to comprehend if your brain isn't configured for it, is it? So I like to think of that, and it sort of, gives me a little hope that maybe there's something more to us, something that goes beyond, I guess, just living for a while and then dying in our physical bodies. But it's all speculation, isn't it? This is probably the most philosophical I've gotten on this channel, but I like to get my thoughts out here because it makes me panic about this stuff less when I can get my thoughts out instead of what was happening before, which is like a little thing in your head going, oh, you're gonna die, or whatever, and it's just no fun. Alright, well, I'm gonna see you again tomorrow. Hopefully any of that made sense.